The shark is arguably the one animal that haunts humans more than any other. But the mosquito is the most deadly to humans. So why do we give sharks a whole week on TV every year? I'll try to explain.
There is something large swimming just beyond the breakers. When it comes closer, curious about us, we cannot see it or hear it. Our terrestrial senses are disabled.
A great white shark is stalking two paddleboarders.
Recently, hobby dronists have made it perfectly clear what swimmers on the surface do not notice at all, despite its size. When humans enter their world, we're blind to danger, or at least perceived danger. Maybe it's one of the reasons Americans are frighteningly fascinated by sharks. We fear them, but we film them. We name cocktails after them. We put their teeth on our jewelry, their fins on TV, and make comedy skits out of them.
Who's that?
Lion shark.
And every summer, millions of us gather around our televisions to watch sharks from a safe distance during Shark Week. Yet, the confusing thing is this. For most Americans, a shark is one of the least likely animals on Earth to hurt them. So why does a fin in the water frighten us more than the things that actually kill people? Why are we more afraid of a shark than, say, a dog or a bee, deer, or even the family cow? The answer is a peculiar mixture of real tragedy, ancient instinct, media hype, and Hollywood genius that turned two musical notes into an audible nightmare. Long before America had beach resorts, surfboards, or plastic toy sharks, real sharks were already old hat for humans. But humans just showed up in shark history. They've been around about 400 million years longer than anything even resembling a human. Their ancestors were swimming through the oceans before dinosaurs, before trees as we know them. Let's just say they're not going anywhere. But did you know for most of American history, we didn't think much about them? The ocean was a place for sailors, fishermen, pirates, mostly those whose workday did not happen on dry land.
So what changed? Oh, that movie in the 70s, you say. Well, not exactly, because that movie was fiction. While there are two other American shark stories that are actually true and much more frightening.
Let's go back to the early 1900s. First, railroads, then automobiles, began carrying more vacationers to our scenic coastlines. Beach towns blossomed. Wooden boardwalks stretched along the sand. Women arrived in heavy wool bathing costumes, while men wore striped swimsuits resembling prison uniforms, and Americans started wading into the oceans for fun. Before that era, not many used the ocean for play, but now, here we were, entering the shark's backyard without a boat. And in the summer of 1916, sharks began haunting our imagination. July 1st, Beach Haven, New Jersey. At the beautiful Ingleside Hotel, guests strolled near the water on a warm evening. 25-year-old Charles Van Sant decided to swim in the ocean before dinner. Just offshore, something locked onto his leg. Witnesses on the beach thought he was calling to a dog swimming nearby, but then the water went red. Young Van Sant was pulled ashore alive, but he died from his injuries. Sea captains in the area began reporting seeing large sharks, but beaches stayed open for the holiday weekend. Then, 5 days later, about 45 miles north, Charles Bruder was attacked while swimming offshore at the resort town of Spring Lake. A lifeboat reached him, but he too died. Newspapers erupted. Headlines warned of a sea monster, but experts insisted that sharks did not attack people in northern waters. Speculation and conspiracy flourished. It did not help that the next attacks would not happen in the ocean. The next attacks would happen 11 miles from the open ocean, in a narrow creek along the Jersey shore. On July 12th, a group of boys swimming in Matawan Creek spotted what looked like a dark log moving through the water. No one expected a shark. 11-year-old Lester Stillwell was pulled under, Local men rushed into the creek to find him. One of them, Stanley Fisher, was also attacked and later died. A half-mile away, 14-year-old Joseph Dunn was bitten, but his friends managed to pull him free. By the end of that terrible 12-day period, 5 people had been attacked, 4 were dead. Panic swept the coast. Men patrolled the water with rifles. Boaters dropped dynamite into the sea. Sharks were caught, killed, and cut open and displayed before curious crowds. Then, Michael Schieser caught a shark at the mouth of the creek, and human remains were found in its stomach. America had discovered its sea monster. And once a monster, always a monster.
The shark panic of 1916 was so intense that it even affected the presidential election that year. President Woodrow Wilson had been governor of New Jersey, but when the election came around, historians believe so many people were afraid that the federal government could not protect the coast from sharks that Wilson actually lost his own state.
But hang on, because the best-known shark tragedy in American history is still to come. In July of 1945, the USS Indianapolis was crossing the Philippine Sea after delivering components for the atomic bomb that would be dropped on Hiroshima. Shortly after midnight on July 30th, a Japanese submarine fired torpedoes into the ship. The Indianapolis rolled over and sank in about 12 minutes. Nearly 900 sailors and Marines survived the sinking, but found themselves floating in the open Pacific. Many had no life jackets. Some were badly burned. Oil coated the water. The sun rose like a furnace, and then night brought cold and darkness. The men had little food and almost no drinking water. Then came the sharks. The exact number of men killed by sharks will never be known. But the sharks were there, circling beneath groups of exhausted men, sometimes dragging a sailor away while his shipmates watched. After nearly 5 days, 316 men were finally rescued, surviving to tell the world of the relentless shark attacks. It's one of the most terrifying sea disasters in American history.
Almost 30 years later, moviegoers would hear that story from a fictional survivor named Quint in a movie that would become the first modern summer blockbuster. And it's a movie that changed everything again.
Peter Benchley's 1974 novel about a great white shark terrorizing a New England resort town became a household name thanks to a young director named Steven Spielberg. Jaws opened in the summer of 1975 and became a cultural earthquake. Lines curled around theaters. Beachgoers stood at the water's edge, staring suspiciously at perfectly innocent waves. An animatronic great white shark was supposed to be the star of the movie. Instead, it famously malfunctioned, missing out on most of its intended screen time. That failure revolutionized cinematic suspense because Spielberg was forced to show little of the shark. The "don't show the monster" technique ushered in a new psychological dread. Theaters transformed the great white shark into America's favorite nightmare. Shark fishing tournaments became a feeding frenzy of their own. Dead sharks were hoisted on docks while cameras flashed. And Spielberg later bemoaned the damage Jaws did to our image of the shark. Benchley also became an advocate for shark conservation. The men who helped turn the shark into a monster spent years reminding us that the real animal was not the monster at all. But by the late 1980s, shark fascination had become a summer tradition. Sharks became ratings gold, but should we really be that afraid of them? The numbers would say no. In a typical year, the entire world records only a few dozen confirmed unprovoked shark bites. Fatal attacks are rarer still. Dogs kill far more Americans than sharks. Bees, wasps, and hornets kill many more. Deer cause more deadly vehicle collisions. And cattle kick, crush, or trample at a much deadlier rate than the vilified shark. Heck, our office vending machines are more dangerous than sharks. We fear sharks because they attack from a world we cannot see. A dog growls right in front of us. A bee buzzes near our face. A A deer steps right into our headlights, but the ocean hides everything. When we swim, we float at the surface like a tiny crouton on a very large bowl of soup. Beneath us, maybe 10 feet of water, or 10,000. Sharks have such power over the imagination because they live at the border between knowledge and mystery. And that's why Americans give sharks their own week each year. The final twist is that while humans fear sharks, sharks have far more reason to fear humans. Commercial fishing, accidental bycatch, finning, habitat loss, and trophy hunting have devastated many shark populations. The animal we imagined hunting us has been disappearing because of us. That matters because sharks help keep ocean ecosystems in balance. Large predators influence where other animals feed, how populations grow, and how healthy marine habitats remain. Remove too many sharks, and the effects can ripple throughout the sea. Our fascination, however, may also help save them. The same television cameras that once presented sharks as mindless killers now follow scientists tagging them, tracking them, and learning how they migrate. Fear has become fascination. Fascination sparked curiosity, then knowledge.
So the shark is no villain. It's just an ancient creature that is doing what it's been doing since long before humans arrived.
If stories like this make you wonder what else has been hiding in plain sight, like this video, subscribe to American Curiosity, and come back for more fascinating American stories.